epidemic.
Plus, when he visited less than a month ago, he had no idea he'd be living here. An Episcopalian reverend's about to make history in Maine.
And we'll catch up with a Maine girl who had something awful happen to her in the summer of 2017 and check in on her road to recovery. This is News Center Now. Flakes are falling in southern Maine. Many more where those came from. Good evening, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. Incoming snow will soon surround our state, and it's just getting started right now in southern Maine. Let's kick things off by kicking it over to Keith. He's in stormy tracking what's going on. Hey, Keith.
Hey guys, usually I don't like to be in stormy. I think it's a bit of a cop-out, like you gotta go stand in the elements. But in this case, we had to travel to get to the snow. The edge of it was just moving into southern Maine and through York County and Cumberland County as well. So we're now down 95. We just went by the Kennebunk rest area and starting to get into some of the better snow at this point. There's a look at the radar. You can see that it's kind of closing in from all angles there, and the ground truth is that once we get into it, it's been coming down hard quickly, and there's the leading edge there. It appears as though it's in Portland, but it's not, right? It's being evaporated at the lower levels by the dry air in the atmosphere, and so what appears to be snow on the radar is not snow until another 20-25 miles to the south and southwest there. We got a lot more where this came from, though. The storm is transferring its energy from the inland low to the coastal low, and that will take place overnight tonight. Once the coastal low is in place late tonight, that's when we'll really start cranking some of the heavier snow bands in here. Dew points, part of the reason it's not snowing where it appears to be snowing on the radar, and that's why you're seeing that lag there. The dry air is eating away at it. It's not uncommon, especially when you start off cold like this, for it to have a lag time before it saturates the column and we start seeing that snow come down. So we're continuing to watch the storm. Obviously the best of it's going to come through tonight, and Lee and Lindsay, it looks likely that it will be a pretty big mess tomorrow morning.
All right, Keith, thanks so much for that. In our headlines today, Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman found guilty on all counts. It took jurors 6 days to reach that verdict in a trial that lasted nearly 3 months. Guzman pleaded not guilty to charges that his cartel smuggled tons of drugs, laundered billions of dollars, and oversaw a murder and kidnapping conspiracy. He now faces a possible life sentence.
If the balance on your credit card is higher than the amount in your emergency savings account, you are not alone. That's the case for nearly 1/3 of Americans, according to a recent survey from Bankrate.com. It's the highest number of people reporting that they have more credit card debt than savings since the annual survey started about 8 years ago. The same website found that only 40% of Americans say they have enough money in savings to cover a $1,000 emergency expense.
There is good news on the jobs front. The Labor Department says the number of job openings soared to a record high in December. Employers posted 7.3 million job openings, a jump of 2.4%. That's the most since the agency started keeping records nearly 2 decades ago.
Keeping kids away from e-cigarettes. That is the goal of a bill that's in the legislature right now. They want to keep all the products off of school grounds.
Chris Costa is here to explain how that possible law would work.
Yeah, so Lee and Lindsay, the goal of this bill is to expand the definition of what is a tobacco product to include things like e-cigarettes and vape pens like the popular Juul. Now, there's already rules in the state that prohibit tobacco products from being on school campuses, but again, this is just to broaden that definition. Now, the FDA just released new data yesterday that shows 3.6 million middle and high school students were current users of e-cigarettes in 2018, meaning they'd used it in the past 30 days. Earlier today, Senator Rebecca Millett presented this bill to the legislature in Augusta, the Health and Human Services Committee. Federal law already prohibits the selling of e-cigarettes to minors, but students can easily purchase e-cigarettes online. In September, the FDA called youth e-cigarette use an epidemic, and according to the nonprofit Truth Initiative, one Juul pod contains 20 cigarettes worth of nicotine.
I'm pretty sure a lot of places have policies in place, but this actually catches up our statute to support them in that effort.
So Senator Millett says that she brought this bill forward after speaking with middle school students in South Portland who told her about how rampant it was for them to see their classmates using e-cigarettes. Now, one of the difficulties, she says, is that they look kind of similar to a USB device. If you can tell, it can be difficult to differentiate what is an e-cigarette and what is not. She also says she's working on introducing a bill that would prohibit the flavoring of tobacco statewide because she says that's a type of implicit marketing. Lee and Lindsay.
Chris, obviously an issue we've spent a lot of time here on this show, so thank you very much for that. I'm sure we'll talk more about that moving down the road. That's right. All right, history in the making. A new bishop elected to serve the more than 10,000 people that are part of the Episcopalian faith excuse me, in Maine.
Pending final confirmation, Reverend Thomas James Brown will be the first openly gay Episcopalian bishop in Maine. He currently lives in Winchester, Massachusetts, so we learn more about his story and what he's looking forward to in Maine through Skype.
We were really careful to not look at real estate because, as you know, it was an election. And to be completely honest, I was not expecting to be elected.
The first order of business for Bishop-elect Thomas James Brown is figuring out where he and his husband will live. He visited Maine in January and just weeks later was elected to become the 10th bishop for Maine's Episcopal Church, the first to be openly gay.
The power of coming out and the power of having a granddaughter or a grandchild or a cousin or a neighbor who says, you know, this is who I am. That changes everything because at the end of the day, it's really about love.
The 48-year-old shares his life's work with his spouse, who is also an Episcopalian priest.
He is the kindest, smartest man in the whole world.
They've been together nearly 20 years.
For my church, there's sadness, but there's also a great deal of pride and joy.
The parish of the Epiphany in Winchester, Massachusetts, is where he served as the rector since 2009. New England Episcopalians have witnessed history in the making before. 16 years ago, Gene Robinson was the first openly gay Episcopal bishop to be elected in the New Hampshire diocese.
That historic thing that the people of New Hampshire did allowed some other faith communities, and I'm not talking about the Episcopal Church solely. I just think it was a great moment for American Christianity to proclaim a message of God's love.
So, pending confirmation by the Episcopal Diocese, Bishop-elect Brown will be ordained and consecrated this summer at St. Luke's Cathedral in Portland. He succeeds Bishop Stephen Lane, who is retiring. Coming up, we're going to find out about a library that lets you check out gear to get out there and enjoy winter.
That's a pretty cool concept.
I know, that's awesome.
And we're going to meet somebody who is not letting an accident define what happened to her. Erin Field wants people to know how hard work and a positive attitude can help you turn your life around.
What's up, everybody?
Face.
How's it going?
All right, let's see what we got here. Hey, what's up, Beth? You are welcome. J-Bar, the winter storm Maya. I totally think that's appropriate. Although it should be a hurricane. Because my Maya, she's a hurricane. A hurricane
Maya
of love. Yeah, she's a 6-year-old girl.
Hey, Jeff Simpson.
She's awesome. She's an awesome hurricane. Beth says vaping is a big problem at the high school level. Also at the middle school level, for those of you scoring at home. Which we've done, seems like so many stories about.
I mean, I was just thinking the other day about the pediatric pulmonologist that I interviewed late last year. Who,
that's hard to say.
Yeah, right. Say that 6 times fast. He said something that really surprised me was that he's seeing middle school kids vaping that have respiratory diseases and illnesses. Like even children with cystic fibrosis are vaping because it's the cool thing to do. And it has this life-altering impact on their health.
Yeah. And I don't know if kids realize it or are just in that whole it won't happen to me kind of mindset, but I mean, it's parents, again, the onus is on the parents to literally, I mean, it's tough to watch what they're doing every second
and
of
you
every
can't
day.
detect it because it doesn't smell like a cigarette does.
I think if and I have done this with my children, but if any of them had asthma or respiratory issues, I think I would just say, listen, sit them down, but listen. I don't want. I'm not asking you if you're doing it, but I just want you to know this. So don't tell me if you're doing it or not, but look at this.
Right.
And at least you now know, and
You have the
can't say
facts.
you didn't know.
Right.
And at that point, if you're 15 years old and you've got asthma and you want to go ahead and vape, and I can't physically stop you because I'm not there, at least I had the conversation as a parent to make you aware of what's going to happen to you if you do. So.
I just ran into, you know how there's like tobacco and alcohol education in schools, and there's usually like one person that's like the health teacher that handles that stuff.
Are we moving or are we good
I think we're here.
Okay.
I just ran into my teacher from that education years and years ago, and I called her the cigarette lady because she always walked around with this this huge, like my size, life size. Well, it was bigger than life size. A cigarette that was inflatable. And it's funny, the lessons you learn when you're young, they do stick with you. So yeah, by giving them the facts, I think that's the best way to go.
All right, everybody knows that Maine is home to some of the best winter sports activities in the entire country, but one issue can certainly be the price of actually getting the gear that you would need.
It can be costly. That's why one library has set up a gear library, which allows Mainers to check out cross-country skis, snowshoes for free. News Center's Sean Stackhouse was at the gear library today. Sean, how did this come about?
Hey, Lee and Lindsay. Well, that gear is available at the Millinocket Memorial Library, and all you have to do to check out that gear is have a library card. And the gear is provided by the Outdoor Sports Institute with the hopes of building community throughout winter sports. And there are skis and snowshoes available in all sizes, and this will give more Mainers access to some expensive winter sports. And the Millinocket area has an abundance of trails to go on, which is going to be perfect for the snow that we're about to get tomorrow. Now I'll have more details on the Gear Library tonight at 6. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, Sean, thank you very much. Great idea.
That's an awesome idea.
I mean, how many times I know where it's like, boy, I'd love to go skiing. I don't have skis, and I can't afford to rent them or the boots or the poles.
Especially with all the
whatever.
children you have in tow.
Well, yes, I didn't really mean as much in my adult life, but in my kid life, yeah. I mean, I couldn't go skiing all the time because I couldn't.
Sure.
So there you go.
Awesome.
Would have been good to have. Oh, what's that sound? What's that sound?
Okay, guys, do not worry. This is the music, but we are technically not in Storm Center mode yet. We have a little update about that on tap for tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's like the bat phone, though, right? You hear that and you're like, storm!
Or kids think, no school.
Storm Center, which everybody will think that tomorrow, likely.
Yeah.
It is going to start a little bit earlier tomorrow, though. Storm Center will start at 4 a.m. instead of the usual 4:30. So get up a half an hour earlier, find out you don't have school, go back to bed.
That sounds like a good plan.
Problem solved. Coming up next on Now, a story about how one woman from Maine has the power to overcome a very huge obstacle in her life.
And Jess is holding down the fort while Keith's out in Stormy. She's going to have our forecast coming up. Sorry, I just read the words. I know. Jess, I'm sorry. I read the words.
All right.
I think maybe he thought you were going to be by the
I'm good,
whiteboard.
Brother. Appreciate it. This is an inside runner, right, Jess? Come on. Is it a Norland trough? Somebody asked on Facebook. Yeah, I didn't come up with that one. Inside runner I had. That one was mine.
We did have a question if we're still going to have brain drops tonight.
Yeah, we are. We are. What's up, Diane? Enjoying Florida. You're lucky.
I know. I'm always so jelly of the warm weather watchers.
Kevin Jess says it is not a Norland trough. Oh, I'm over here. I'm leaving you. Bye.
Bye.
I think I'm at the monitor. Isaac,
has anyone seen snow yet? We'd love to see that. And of course, tomorrow we want to see your pictures, if it's safe to take them wherever you are, of the storm coverage of what you're seeing outside your window. We're going to have crews fanning out all over the state, getting looks at road conditions, school updates, cancellations.
Clip and flip. Clip and flip.
I'm having deja vu. Did this conversation already happen? Lee, what's the little story? What's your story about? What's your
Field hockey.
Of course. No, he's giving me a hard time because
No, I'm not.
I told him I love this story because I have something in common with this young lady.
It's about this young lady who went to Messalonskee High School who had something really bad happen to her, and she's trying to overcome it. That's what it's about.
It's amazing.
Overcoming adversity.
It's amazing.
It's sad and it's happy at the same time. It'll make you smile, it'll make you cry.
Just shows you how life can change in an instant.
You'll hear a lot of that. You'll hear a lot of that.
In an instant.
Yep. So, pay attention, kids. This is one of our little Maine girls on her way to do big things, despite a huge, huge roadblock.
Where was she when the incident happened? Boston?
She was physically in Boston, yeah.
Yeah.
Erin Field's life was going exactly as she had planned. A field hockey and lacrosse star at Messalonskee High School, Erin continued her field hockey career at Goucher College in Maryland. Law school was in her future, but then her future changed, just like that.
I don't even remember like the hammock falling or anything like that. I just remember sitting on it.
It was July 11th, 2017. Erin Field was in a hammock on the roof of her brother's apartment in Boston. The hammock was attached to a chimney on one side and a wall on the other. The chimney cracked and fell on top of Erin. Her boyfriend Jack pulled the bricks off as quickly as he could, but the damage was done. Injuries to her ribs, lungs, and her C6 vertebrae. She lost all feeling in her legs and most feeling in her arms. Erin was paralyzed from the waist down.
I get annoyed because I was the one, like, Jack was like, oh, like, let's just sit up here and hang out. And I was like, no, let's go in the hammock. So I'm just like, it's so weird how such a small decision, like, changed my life.
She went from weeks in the hospital to months at the Spaulding Rehab Center before being allowed to go home. Now, 19 months later, Erin is continuing down her road to recovery. Her family has moved from Sydney to Boston so they and her therapy bulldog, Oakley, can support whatever she needs whenever she needs it. Erin's mother, Heidi, has gone from watching her daughter take on Skowhegan in field hockey to watching her try and move a little bit more.
Those are hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to think about. But, you know, that's me thinking about it. She doesn't feel that way. You know, we don't really have those conversations. She's funny, like she'll look at pictures, she'll look back at pictures at high school and her friends and things that have happened, and she'll laugh and remember, but it makes me sad. It doesn't make her sad.
I have these weird dreams where I can walk and I can play field hockey, but only for 15 minutes. And then my legs are tired and I'll wake up and my legs will hurt. This side's hard.
Yeah, what's up with that side?
I don't know.
Erin has not let the accident define her life plan. She just had to adapt.
Erin Alexandra Fields.
When I first met her, she was like, oh, I'm going to go back to school. And I was like, oh, when? Like next year? She's like, no, in like 6 weeks. And I was like, whoa. Like I was like, I don't know. And then she came back and just got after it ever since. Like, she doesn't quit.
That kind of attitude can be key to any recovery. For Erin and her family, not having a rear view mirror and always looking ahead to what's next has been instrumental to their new life.
I think I've always been positive, but since the accident, like I think it's changed my perspective on everything. And I think I'm just happier. Like I was like very happy before the accident, but I think I'm more appreciative, like to be alive and to help other people. Because before I don't know, it's just like, you're just living your life and it's just all about you. And since the accident happened, I just think about other people a lot more.
What you have to do is you have to look at what you have, not what you don't have, and we still have her. So, you know, in our school, in our community, we've had people that have lost their children, and my heart goes out to them, and I could never complain a day in my life. You know, she's still here. She's getting better every day.
And the results prove it. Since the accident, Erin has been working hard, really hard.
Her progress has definitely improved. When she first started, her neck was really weak and we'd have to take breaks because of her neck, and now her neck isn't really an issue at all.
As for the future for this 23-year-old, Erin thought she wanted to be a lawyer before the accident. Now she knows she does.
I want to do therapy for like a couple years till I'm strong enough to actually go to law school. I don't want to do it online, like I want to go in this chair. So that's my goal.
If you're not walking.
Yeah, if I'm not walking. Yeah, I mean, I'll walk. If I can walk, I'll walk.
If she can walk, she'll walk. She's also, oh, by the way, going to practice disability law, which has now changed because of her accident. She said there's a lot of things that she's realizing are not accessible to her, and she wants to be one of the people that helps change that so that things are more accessible to people like her. Unbelievable attitude. I mean, I cried, I smiled. I'm so thankful to that family for letting us in and telling obviously a very personal story. They've had such tremendous support in the town of Sydney and the community in Oakland that they couldn't say enough about. So.
And the support of her family moving down there, and her therapy dog.
Which all happened because of the support of their town. They had a GoFundMe page. They raised enough money for the family to be able to go down and for her to be able to get the help she needed. So it's Manners helping Manners, and
Absolutely.
it was beautiful. So anyway,
we wish her the best
story.
of luck in her
100%.
journey forward.
Absolutely, yep.
All right, you know who's on a journey today?
Well, I haven't seen her around, so I think I know the answer.
Cam O'Brien.
Obi, she loves the winter.
We miss you. She's down in
Look
Kenny
at her.
Bunkport
She's got
checking in on
got
that
the
snow.
Eskimo hat going on. She's ready to go.
Cam, what's going on down there?
That's right. I miss you guys, and I miss the warmth of the studio, y'all. Y'all know how I feel about the cold, and they put me out here anyway. Well, while I'm out here, let me at least tell you a little bit about what we're seeing. Snow coming down at a good clip. Not too much yet. Like, if I swipe the ground of the parking lot we're at, only a little bit on my finger, so not too much. But it's definitely picking up. As we were driving down 95, we drove into the storm, so that means it's probably making its way up north pretty slowly. But take a look at where we are. Look how beautiful. We're in Kenny Bunkport, and you can kind of see the lights. The sun's just set. It looks absolutely stunning right now. But let me get back to the issue of it being freezing, because it is cold, y'all, and that's what Keith and Jess have been telling us, that, you know, it's going to be a chilly day for us out here, and a chilly night and early morning. So make sure you're bundling up. I'm going to be out here through the rest of the hour, updating you on the conditions living out here in the snow, so y'all don't have to. I've got it on lock. See you back in the studio soon, Leah and Lindsay.
That's so sweet.
I mean, it's kind of funny when we send her out into the snow because she does not love it as much as some others do. So.
And she takes her gear very seriously.
But she also kills it every time.
She does.
Good for her. All right, how about Keith? What's he doing for? Keith, you look good.
Oh, this is
no,
my favorite. This is my favorite shot from Stormy.
That is a nice shot. Keith's riding around in Stormy and keeping a look on what's going on out there. What's up, Keith?
I figured you guys didn't really want to see me. You wanted to see the snow, so here I am. But we're gonna go back over to the roof camera. We're actually not far from Cam. Inadvertently, we're chasing the snow, and this is where we found it in Kennebunk. And we're gonna head back on Route 1 north and see what's going on. But to Cam's point, it's a pretty quick onset. So you go from nothing to a quick coating on the ground, and that's because it is a little chilly. She's got the right hat for it, at least. Let's have a look at the radar, and it's starting to pull that snow in. It's actually coming in to Oxford County and collapsing a bit into Cumberland County, a little hole in there. What we found is that the radar is a decent amount ahead of the snow because we're getting that snow evaporating at the lower levels because it's so dry and so cold. So that happens a lot. Leading edge getting eaten up by the dry air, but it is there, and once it gets to saturate the column, it's coming down heavily. Transfer of energy from that inland low to the coastal low, that's happening right now. Nobody cares but us weather weenies, but that's what makes the storm a little bit more powerful, is that it becomes a coastal low. Here are your dew points: below zero in a lot of places, 6 in Portland. So what has to happen essentially is you have to get the dew point to the temperature to start to get that snow down. You can cheat by 1 or 2, but it's got to be close, and so that's what's going on through the next couple of hours as the snow progresses into the mid-coast and down East Maine. By about midnight, everyone is thumping snow pretty good, coming down an inch an hour, maybe an inch and a half an hour in the best bands. The warm nose tries to get in there early tomorrow morning and start messing with the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and so some sleet mixes in, maybe a little rain, but probably more likely freezing rain in spots where you see that pink shaded area, and then stays all snow into the mountains and across northern Maine, and hence their totals will be the highest. It moves out tomorrow afternoon, and then Thursday is actually a good looking day for cleanup. Partly cloudy, relatively mildish. February standards, they're pretty low. Should be 32 to 35 in most spots. And then perhaps some rain on Friday. It looks likely, especially away from the mountains. So not much change here. Jess got cute last night. Instead of 3 to 6, went 4 to 6. Otherwise, everything's the same. 10 to 14 mountains, 6 to 10 for a vast majority of the interior and down into southern coastal Maine as well. As I mentioned, a little bit of rain coming in on Friday. May stay snow in the mountains. They would like that because it'll be a banner day for them most likely tomorrow afternoon, but more so into Thursday. The weekend looks quiet. Nothing really going on over the weekend, at least as it stands right now. Temperatures will be seasonable for this time of the year, and maybe another storm next week. I'll tell you, the pattern overall is relatively juicy in that we've got the jet stream hanging around, and so we're going to flirt with a lot of these storms. Whether or not we can get them all into Maine will be a totally different question. So we'll keep an eye on the next one, but for now this storm looks on track. It'll be 6+ for a lot of us, and Lee, I think what's going to happen here is we're going to have enough of a mess probably for a lot of cancellations of school tomorrow morning. So
all right, well, make sure you're at my house for homeschool science class with Keith Carson tomorrow at my house. Good job. All right.
All right, Keith, thanks. A lot more coming up on News 10 Maine at 5:30. Cindy Williams is here with a preview. Hey, Cindy.
Hi, guys. Maine school bus drivers are telling horror stories of things they've seen, close calls they've witnessed, of kids almost getting hit by cars that go speeding past a school bus, even though the stop sign is out and the lights are flashing. Well, they think those drivers ought to face much harsher penalties, and we are not just talking about fines here. We'll have that story. Plus, some first steps are made toward reopening the prison in Washington County. We'll tell you what's going on at the Down East Correctional Facility that was closed last year. All coming up at 5:30. Back to you.
All right, Cindy, thanks so much. Even though Keith's on the road, we do have raindrops when we come back.
John, I need to say hello to your wife, Stephanie.
Oh.
She's at the ER. She's got strep throat. Feel better, Stephanie. John's hanging out with 5 kids. Only 5? Come on, John. 5's easy. Get to 7 and call me. 8, call me. 5. Come on, John. Stephanie, feel better. Everybody, stay safe out there if you're going.
Everybody, stay safe.
This isn't our first winter. It's not our first rodeo.
I know. Ain't our first rodeo. Oh.
We're brain dropping.
Dropping brain.
Is Keith tossing us or are we?
Do you want my keys? You can take my keys.
Are we tossing to this, Isaac, or is Keith?
Well, you'd do me the biggest favor if you took my keys and filled my car up with gas and went home and parked it in the garage.
Back up. I haven't heard anything in a while now.
Can you want to ask Isaac real quick just who's tossing them? Or if we're just tossing straight to it, or? Hey, Isaac.
Coat pocket.
Go, Sarah, go. Did we ever hear from Isaac?
Just now?
No, I'm just wondering, like, what are we tossing to Keith, or?
Yeah, I guess there might be is Stormy good for this? I guess there might be an issue with Stormy.
We're having issues, but as of right now, they're fine.
Jess, I jinxed it. That stare. That stare.
You guys see Keith fixing his hair?
Oh my God, yes.
You guys see that?
Get it.
There it is, Facebook. True behind the scenes.
Keith, can you hear us? Facebookers just heard me give Clay a honey-do list. Take my car, fill it up with gas. Literally, that conversation just went down.
I wish I heard it. I'll watch it back later.
Once I heard you were talking to Clay,
Cut the mic.
Oh, Liam.
Liam, you're the sweetest.
Liam's the man.
Liam.
I've learned with him.
Oh yeah, Liam is so considerate.
Are we tossing to Keith?
Stand by on handheld,
There you
yes.
go.
Tossing to Keith.
All right, back outside to Keith for Brain Drops on this Tuesday.
Hey guys, all right. Let's talk about something kind of interesting. I saw that they finally have published all the peer-reviewed journals that had to be retracted, studies that had to be retracted. So prior, there was no good way to find out if a study you were trying to cite as a scientist had actually been retracted because your peers had found too many problems with it. So now here's your database of 18,000 retracted papers. Remember, this is the key to science, is having qualified peers review your work and say whether or not it's legitimate or it stands the test of being repeated. And there was a list of the top 10 most cited retracted scientific papers. The Mediterranean diet coming in at number 1. There's still some truth to it being a good way to eat, but that particular paper had some problems with it. And if you scroll down to number 3, it will be the famous vaccines and autism one that was retracted many years ago, but unfortunately still heavily cited even after it had to be retracted. So it's good to have a database so you know what you're citing. Guys, how creepy is it that I'm behind you like this?
Very.
So
yeah,
weird.
no, that's not good for anybody. Yeah, that's the problem.
Very up close and
Luckily,
very personal.
It's like he's in a fishbowl. Luckily, that's going away, and New Center at 5:30 starts right now.
That's good. Bye guys, have a good night.
See you, Facebook.